the planet Earth.
Some call me nature.
I am very passionate about the planet
Earth.
A living, breathing planet capable of sustaining whatever life forms we see fit to deposit on it.
Spock, judging by the pollution content of the atmosphere, I believe we have arrived.
Is the planet stupid?
No. It's the planet stupid.
She is Belinda Waymouth, the good, the bad, and the ugly of what's happening with the environment. What's up today?
Oh, well, this has been an unbelievably crazy hot winter, and particularly this week we've been all over the place. You know, Dallas on Tuesday got to 94 degrees. Chicago was in the 70s. Over the weekend it was, Saturday it was 60, then Monday and Tuesday it was hot. Yesterday Chicago went down to 30. Today by noon it was at 37, and so right now they're cold, then there's going to be more hot weather coming and then more cold. It's all over the place. And 200 countries around the world have recorded this incredible winter heat this past week. Or obviously not all winter. Yeah, I mean, look at it. I mean, it's red, it's angry, it's crazy. And what's happening, and what the research is saying is like, look, there's this supply of cold air. It's a cold air pool, and it lives a mile up in the atmosphere, and this pool of cold air, and there's a really great graphic in one of the stories I sent you, a graph that shows you. So we've been measuring it for the last 76 years, and this year it's going to be at its second year of being really, really tiny. And the smaller that cold air gets, the more intrusion we can get from warm weather. And this just unbelievable sort of, it's a roller coaster. It's this crazy, crazy roller coaster of temperatures. And it messes with ecosystems. It messes with people. We're animals too. And we're used to the seasons, the cycles that we go through. In Maine, I mean, the poor moose in Maine are being decimated by the ticks because the ticks don't have any off season now. They can just come in and suck your blood all year round. And it's terrible. I mean, I won't go into the details of what's happening to the moose, but trust me, it's ghastly. And the thing about these numbers is, often people will want to argue with temperatures taken on the Earth's surface because they'll say, oh, there's urbanization and there's all the things that, happen that we do here. Well, you can't argue with a pool of cold water cold air that's a mile above us. We're not up there. It's just our greenhouse gases that are, causing it to be smaller and smaller. And it's, wrecking crazy, having crazy effects on our temperatures.
It's so brutal because increasingly the effects are what we have to deal with because it appears that there's a momentum to the cause that it's hard to slow,
Yeah. And the other thing, also is, and I think this is really important, is, when people talk about, skeptics of climate change or, deniers, and they try to say, well, sometimes the temperatures go up and sometimes they go down. There have been 8,000 heat records broken this winter, 8,000. And as far as cold records go, only 2,300. So the heating up is really significant and is really game on. And what was kind of ironic is that on Tuesday, when Chicago was having, this incredible heat, that was the day that they joined a lot of other US cities in suing the fossil fuel industry. And they've gone one step further, actually, than just holding the fossil fuel industry responsible for all this damage that's being done. They also went after the biggest fossil fuel lobbying group, the American Petrochemical Institute. And the American Petrochemical Institute really is, obfuscating the data. They have these front groups that also promulgate, climate denial and, conspiracy theories about it. And so I think to go after a lobbying group, because I think the money that's involved with US politics and then, policy, absolutely hit those guys because they are, this, huge part of the problem. That happened on Tuesday.
I do promulgate as a ding word. I do believe that the court system and these lawsuits, in the same way that money ruins so much of American society, it's the only thing that corporations understand and answer to. And so,
Yeah.
as you
They're
say,
quarterly
it's significant
profits.
that Chicago has bellied up to the bar with their own lawsuit.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. And, Chicago, I think it was 700. They had this heat wave in, I think it was 96. And it was 4 days of really extreme heat. 700 people died, So it's like this, it's game on. And we absolutely have to hold the fossil fuel industries, feet to the fire, because enough is enough. This is, like, we're done. We're done with this nonsense.
Yeah, there's the graph. I mean, it's just all there. The temperature anomalies over the years from 1880 to 2021, and right at the height of the Industrial Revolution, there's a pop, and then now with sort of unbridled fossil fuel dominance from 1980 on, it's crazy. Look at those.
Well, this is, those numbers, when you look to the right of that graph, that is as the developing world industrializes, and millions of people come out of poverty, and that is good. That's a good thing. But we're burning coal and fossil fuels to do this. And
to lift up those societies.
Yeah. And we have to be going for alternatives.
You talk a lot about plastics and about the inundation with plastics and the utter ubiquity with which we find ourselves living around plastic. And I wonder if you could speak to this replacement. You had sent me something about cork
trees.
Please.
Yeah. So cork is this ancient material. So the Greeks, the Persians, the Romans, the Egyptians, they were using cork thousands of years ago to do what we do with plastic. I mean, it was their fishing nets. They made their sandals out of it. They stoppered their jars and their barrels with it. It's light, it's water resistant, it can be compressed and bounce back. It's incredibly durable. It's fire resistant. Do you know that it's used in NASA spaceships to insulate the fuel tanks?
I mean, it's know that.
It's unbelievable. It's being used in electric vehicles to insulate the batteries. And so this ancient. So every summer, what happens in the countries? So they're in the Western Mediterranean, and this story is out of Portugal. They're turning their cork into $1 billion business to replace plastics. So it's being turned into, again, shoes, furniture, and we know how good corks are on the tops of bottles. But so it has all these properties. And then the amazing thing about the cork oak trees, because you're not allowed to cut them down in Portugal, they're like they're their national tree. So you harvest the cork off the bark, and you have to be very skilled at doing it, because you have to cut just the right amount. You don't want to damage the tree underneath. You can only take the bark off a tree every 9 years, but the tree remains intact and grows more bark. And so you still have a habitat, you still have this place where animals can be. And here are the layers of cork, and they put it out in the sun, and then they boil it up, they get the impurities out of it, and then they can turn it into all these different materials, furniture, this insulation against fires, flooring, shoes again, all these things. And, as we absolutely need an alternative to plastic. So the fact that, it's there and is this sustainable, regenerative. Oh, and the other great thing about the fact that the trees stay in the forests is all the carbon that's sequestered in them stays in them. So you're not chopping down trees to make a plastic alternative and having all this CO2 go into the atmosphere. In fact, cork is carbon negative. It's sequestering more of the carbon than it takes to produce it. So it's kind of a win-win. I think it's for you, Kim. The story's for you.
It's truly something. I mean, I was completely unaware of this cork replacement thing, which is a big phenomenon, as it turns out. Yeah.
Well,
I love it.
Yeah, and it's that thing that I talk about on the show all the time. My favorite: low tech, high impact. Take something take this technology that we already have that is naturally in the world and could help us, and use it. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Cork.
Yeah. Really
For
cool.
some reason, I thought we had a problem with Cork, that wine companies were switching away from Cork because there was a cork shortage or something.
Right, because you have all those screw tops now on wine bottles. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look into that. I mean, the fact is Portugal is turning, I mean, they're making a lot of money right now out of their cork. And I'm sure these other Western Mediterranean countries will, that have cork forests will want to follow suit because, it's a win-win.
Belinda,
Get
there
the
is
plastic out.
there's a phenomenon which is indisputable, which is that the saltwater intrusion
This is huge.
is a problem that many farmers, agricultural concerns are dealing with because saltwater ain't friendly to crops. The salinity is, destructive. So something's being done by the Dutch that is particularly innovative. I wonder if you could speak to that.
Yeah, so you have got to love the Dutch. They are at the forefront of turning climate change and everything that goes with it into an opportunity. That's how they're looking at it. They're talking about how will we be a country in 400 years. And remember, a quarter of the Netherlands is below sea level. And for the longest time of that country's history, they were fighting the water with, dikes and dams and how do we channel it and how do we get, more farmland. And now they're going, hey, this is what's happening. And so make reality our friend. And what they have done as far as, sort of incredible high-tech engineering, they've got that big sort of water gate that they have built. It was finished 20 years ago to protect Rotterdam. Rotterdam is one of the busiest ports in the world. And, 90% of the city is below sea level. And so they've now got these enormous gates. They haven't had to use them yet, but if there's a storm surge, if the Northern Sea, sea level rise. And the thing that's interesting about the Netherlands, I'll get to the salty food in a minute, but, they have people from Ho Chi Minh City, New York, New Orleans, Bangladesh, visiting every week to say, show us how you're doing it. How are you, coping with water and with sea level rise when you're this country that's, below, sea level, so much of you. And the next thing that they're doing is like, hey, salinity and what it's doing to our croplands is really serious. So they're saying that right now, there's their big, it's really amazing. They've actually got a prototype for how to save Venice in Italy from sea level rise. Unfortunately, I think I've told this story before on the show. The Italians have said we don't have the money to do it, but the Dutch are ready. They're saving lives in Bangladesh when there's flooding, showing, how do you make the escape routes? How do you protect people? How do you have shelters?
The technologies that they're developing are applicable elsewhere. So, So go ahead with this one. All right.
So what they're doing with the salinity. So already 20% of the world's cultivated land is being affected by salt. So what happens is you have higher temperatures. There's more evapotranspiration. The water's, going up into the atmosphere. The water that's in the water table gets sucked up through the plant's roots, and salt gets left. And we're dealing with it here. Mid-Atlantic farmers are dealing with salt water here. As we have droughts, you get seawater intrusion. So seawater will go up a dry riverbed. It will get into the water table. And how are we going to grow crops? Well, so what the Dutch are doing is they're going, okay, what are the plants that are edible that like salt? What are the beet and potato varietals that can handle salt? And it's just, I just love them. I'm just like, yay, Dutch people for going, look, rather than fighting this, trying to deny it, they're actually embracing it and saying, let's see the opportunity in this. The way they're reclaiming or sort of making, parts of their city sort of water friendly and water parks, and then creating public space. They're even Dutch kids have to learn to swim with all their clothes and their shoes on. That's how much they're saying water is going to be a part of our future. So we have to know how to deal with it in any circumstances. And I think the thing with the salinity is Europe isn't even going to be as affected by salinity as countries in Africa are, in the Middle East. But the fact that the Dutch are already on it, I think is amazing, because this will be, truly helpful for other countries in the world.
Well, it's exactly what you said. They've adopted this kind of salt tolerance question on crops in Kenya and Egypt. And so this does become this is the reality, and we've got to. There's going to be a salinity issue. We have to figure out, salinity resistance.
And what they are really what their sort of manifesto is how do we have environmental and societal resilience? They're really looking at this, very holistically, and how do we approach it in a way that, takes care of the environment and us as creatures in it, we completely rely on the environment. And I'd say, hats off to them. I think it's really amazing and prescient and important and
and as you say, applicable in so many different places worldwide, which is just so great. I mean, these innovations need to be shared. Prescient is a ding word. Was there anything else we wanted to touch on? I am happy to have gotten it all in, I think.
Yeah.
I love the Cork story. I had no idea about
it's cool, right? It's cool.
Right. We know, I had an idea. I love that we put a face on exactly how the climate is changing and how heat records are being broken, and now, essentially weather is being affected, which is the sort of the more microscopic part of climate. I mean, climate is the overall, weather is just the, day to day. But the Cork thing, I had no idea.
Yeah. No, it is. It's
great.
Completely cool, and it's it's the thing that we say all the time. We have to use everything. We have to use all the tools, use every lever that's out there to help ourselves right now. And the fact that the Portuguese are going back to this industry that's thousands of years old. That we've been running around in cork-soled shoes forever. So and to use it to the fact that thousands of years ago, that's what made their fishing nets. And now all the fishing nets are made out of plastic, which of course is so terrible in the ocean.
Well, that's the point. I mean, if we could do something to get, to just beat this plastic stuff back a little bit, it's so everywhere. You can find her on social media, Belinda Waymouth, Waymouth. And from this point forward, you can find her here on Wednesdays.
Yes.
As we finish up the show around this time, we'll, if you're on the Pacific Coast, around 12:35, 12:40 every day, Belinda will be on Wednesdays. It's the Planet Stupid for today. Thanks, Belinda.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a great week.
More.
It's the Planet Stupid. No, it's the Planet Stupid.
Next time, only on The Mark Thompson Show.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.